Hi everyone, welcome back to Mohivate. I'm Dr. Mohi Sarawgee, a GP by profession, but here I'm swapping prescriptions for perspective. It's Christmas Eve, and wherever you're listening from today, whether it's a quiet morning, a busy afternoon, or a moment you've carved out for yourself, I'm really glad you're here. You might be waiting for someone to arrive or finishing work. You might be surrounded by family, friends, flatmates, or you might be on your own with a cup of tea, taking a breath before the next few days unfold. However, this moment finds you, this episode is simply here to keep you company. Christmas has a particular sound to it, doesn't it? Music you've heard every year, songs you somehow know by heart, and then there's Feliz Navidad, pronunciation lessons very much welcome, which somehow takes over every shop and every mall, at least here in the UK. You can't even buy toothpaste in peace. And then there are the films you somehow end up watching again, even though you know every line. Love Actually, It's a Wonderful Life. And I've probably seen the holiday more times than is medically necessary. For years, I dreamed of Kate Winslet's cottage in the Cotswolds, only to eventually realize that the house is actually in Surrey. So clearly, I need to adjust my expectations and my property search. Christmas films have a way of planting expectations. Big moments, perfect times, lives changing overnight. Real life, of course, tends to be quieter, less coordinated. And maybe that's part of what Christmas really offers: comfort in the familiar, something known, something we return to. And then there's the Christmas tree. We all love Christmas trees, even though they usually come with hours of untangling fairy lights and a quiet internal debate about whether this is finally the year to buy new ones. One of my favorite Christmas traditions is a small one. Over the years, I've bought my niece two Christmas baubles every Christmas. She's kept them so carefully. We are not always together to put up a tree, but she'll send me a picture or video call me while she hangs them. And that moment stays with me because sometimes it's not the decorations that matter, it's the continuity, the knowing that certain connections return year after year, even when circumstances change. And then there are the gifts, some beautifully chosen, the kind that stay in your memory because you remember exactly who gave them to you and that it was Christmas when you received them. Some still with the price tag quietly attached, and some you open and immediately think, right, I know exactly who this is being passed on to, or quietly hope there's a gift receipt tucked inside so it can be exchanged on Boxing Day. And that's okay too, because while gifts can be meaningful, what often stays with us longer is the thought behind them, the note, the message, the memory attached. Sometimes it's simply someone taking a moment to say, "You matter to me this year." And I wonder, as you're listening, what's a card, a message, or a small gesture you still remember? Not because of what it cost, but because of how it made you feel. Sometimes that's where the real gift lives. We often talk about Christmas and many celebrations across cultures as if they should feel a certain way: joyful, grateful, connected. But in real life, this season holds more than one feeling at once. As a GP, I see this every year. People arrive carrying excitement and exhaustion, connection and conflict, celebration and loss. Sometimes all of that lives in the same day, even the same hour. For some families, Christmas looks different each year. Shared days, split days, new routines, arrangements that require flexibility and grace. If that's your reality, showing up with steadiness and care still counts, even when it looks different from the picture in your head. For some people, Christmas is full. Full tables, full calendars, full noise. If that's you, Small pauses matter. Step outside for 5 minutes, open a window, take a slow breath. You don't have to be on all the time. And yes, sometimes it's not just the noise, sometimes it's the opinions. And for others, Christmas is quiet, maybe quieter than you expected, quieter than you wanted. Please know this: being alone is not the same as being forgotten. Sometimes connection looks like a conversation. Sometimes it looks like listening to a familiar voice, even through a podcast. Let's talk about food for a moment because it's everywhere at Christmas and it should be. The aromas, the tables, the shared plates. This is also the time of the year when rules get louder: what we should eat, what we shouldn't drink, and what we'll make up for in January. Food at Christmas is rarely just fuel, it's memory, tradition, comfort. If you enjoy the meal, enjoy it. If you want the dessert, have it. If alcohol is part of your celebration, drink mindfully and kindly without judgment. And of course, all of this applies within medical needs and treatments. If food feels complicated, if appetite comes and goes, that's okay too. Sometimes nourishment looks like a full plate. Sometimes it looks like soup, toast, or staying hydrated. This week, your body doesn't need perfection, it just needs steadiness. I'll offer a few gentle ideas for this week, not instructions. If you can, go for a short walk, not to clear your head, just to let daylight reach your eyes and movement reach your body. Keep the lights on in the evenings. Winter has a way of making darkness heavier than it needs to be. Drink water regularly. It sounds basic, but it matters. Eat regularly, even if meals look different from usual. Predictability helps the nervous system settle. And if emotions come up, sadness, nostalgia, gratitude, let them pass through without rushing to label or fix them. You don't need to process everything before the new year. Our bodies don't know calendars. We can begin again when we are ready. Christmas can be demanding. Sleep changes, routines loosen, emotions rise. You don't need to optimize Christmas. Sometimes health looks like allowing things to be exactly as they are. I also want to acknowledge those working through Christmas: police, doctors, nurses, paramedics, firefighters, carers, support staff, the people keeping systems running while much of the world pauses. If that's you, thank you. Your work matters, even when it means missing moments others take for granted. There's something about Christmas Eve in particular. The lights feel softer, the world feels slightly quieter. For some people, it's carols or hymns you've known since childhood. For others, it's candles or silence or just time together with loved ones. You don't have to believe anything specific for those moments to matter. Sometimes it's simply about pausing, about marking time, and noticing that you're here. I went to boarding school, so our Christmas dinners were often earlier in December, usually the night before we all left for home for the winter break. We'd sing beautiful hymns through the evening, the kind that stay with you years later. And somehow, without fail, those hymns would be followed by something completely unexpected. One song we all still remember and laugh about even now. The song is It Was Itsy Bitsy Teeny Weeny Yellow Polka Dot Bikini, which when you think about it, feels very on brand for Christmas really. Tradition, reverence, and absolute chaos. So if you take one thing from today, let it be this. Sometimes the feel good factor during holidays and celebrations is neither happiness nor excitement. Sometimes it's feeling understood. This season is reflective for me too. I'm carrying the memory of my father whose death anniversary falls just after Christmas. And this year, I'm also remembering my uncle, someone who was a father figure in my life. They shaped me quietly through hard work, resilience, perseverance, and a deep understanding of what family really means. Not through big speeches, but through how they showed up. And when I think of my dad, I often think of the song What a Wonderful World. Not because life is always easy, but because he had a way of noticing the good in it anyway. My uncle loved the work of Charlie Mackesy, and there's a line from his book, Always Remember, that has stayed with me. One day you will look back and see how far you have come and how well you did. I share that not just for myself, but for anyone listening who's carrying absence this Christmas, whether it's the loss of a loved one, a relationship that ended, a family that looks different now, work that's weighing heavily, or simply a version of life you're still learning how to let go of. Some people walk beside us quietly, and long after they are gone, their absence still carries their presence in the choices we make, in the strength we didn't know we had, and in the way we learn to keep going. This episode is shared in loving memory of them and with gentleness for anyone who's missing someone this Christmas or this season. Thank you for listening. I'm Dr. Mohi. Until next time, stay motivated. I wish you a beautiful Christmas. And however this season meets you, may it offer you moments of warmth, remembrance, and care. May you find your way back again and again to what feels steady, familiar, and true, like coming home to yourself.